Hey guys, this is alaco1997 and I'm bringing you my first review on Regular Show. Now, in this review, I'm here to talk about only the main characters in the show, and some of which are my favorites or maybe not. Now, the first two main characters I like to talk about, who I like and very love so much, their names are Mordecai and Rigby. Now, since they first show Regular Show, I've been a fan of a Regular Show since they first broadcast it. They always done something funny and always slacks up a lot, but those two always have fun. Now, Mordecai is a blue jay and Rigby is a raccoon. Those two guys always slack off and always sometimes done something wrong. And they always done something else instead of doing their work, like playing video games, go to the coffee shop, or eat grilled cheese, something like that, etc. But moving on, Mordecai sometimes slacks off with his buddy Rigby, but doesn't usually do the work that Benson gives them. Mordecai sometimes does the work, but whenever he goes to the coffee shop, he always has a love interest to Margaret, the Robin, but I'll get to that in a second. But Mordecai always slacks off with his buddy Rigby, but he doesn't usually slack off that much of a time. But mostly Rigby slacks off a lot with Mordecai. But the two always done mess things up every time. But moving on. In the coffee shop, Mordecai has a love interest with a Robin by the name of Margaret. Now, whenever Mordecai tries to ask her out, she sometimes has a boyfriend who is a human. Human! It's so weird. Imagine that a Robin dating a human and a Blue Jay dating a cloud. They already done that. But then there's this other girl named Eileen that she was interested in Rigby, who has a crush on Rigby, but Rigby wasn't interested in her. But in later episodes, he's starting to get interested in Eileen. But I'll get to that in a few minutes. The next main character I like to talk about, his name is Benson. Now, Benson is the manager of the park. Whenever Mordecai and Rigby does something wrong, he blames them for everything, for not doing their work, always slack off. Although sometimes he's trying to let them work every time, but they refused. They always slack off every time. Although sometimes he does like a little bit of fun, but not all the time. Although sometimes whenever they get a day off, they always have fun. But he is a good guy, but he doesn't find Mordecai and Rigby very cool. Mostly because they always slack off, eat grilled cheese, go to the coffee shop most of the time, but never doing their work. But Benson is always frustrated and always has angry issues. But he sometimes tries to calm down, but when he's trying to in the episode called Think Positive, if he holds all this anger in, a big explosion will happen in the park. He almost killed Muscle Man. But I'll get to him in a second. Benson and Mordecai first appeared in a late episode, but it was just a prototype at the time. It was called The 2 a.m. to the p.m. Now, this short film was about two employees that work at a gas station, who's voiced by J.G. Cutin and Sam Martian. I really don't remember his last name, but I don't remember his name, but I know he's the voice of Benson, Pops, and Muscle Man. And so those two slag off as well, but now the other guy, who was voiced by Benson, they ate a bad candy, which Mordecai's human self put an acid on the candy. who's put acid on the candy, but something weird always happens. I mean, really weird. Like, they turned themselves into a blue jay and even a gumball machine. It was so weird. But moving on. Now, the next main character I like to talk about is Pops. Now, Pops is the owner of the park. Whenever his father's not around, he's in charge of everything what happens in the park. Now, Pops sometimes always has fun. He doesn't like slacking off. He doesn't like slacking off, and he sometimes pays some people with lollipops. But Mordecai and Rigby helps Pops to be a man, try to be like a real person. Although sometimes Benson doesn't like the improvements that Mordecai and Rigby give to Pops. In the episode called Really Real Wrestling, it was revealed that Pops was a wrestler. Yeah, he was a quiet wrestler back in his old days, although Rigby broke his back. But Pops is a good guy, and sometimes keeps an eye on Mordecai and Rigby. Not always, but sometimes keeps an eye on Benson. But mostly he mostly has fun with something else. But he is a very good guy. He is a very good guy. Next, the next person I like to talk about is the guy who always skips around, who has a turtle youth, appear in many wars, who has a girl, who used to have a girlfriend a long time ago, and he is voiced by the legendary Mark Hellman. This guy's name is Skips. Now, Skips has a turtle youth. The reason that he stays forever, the only reason he always skips is because it was revealed in the episode Diary that he always skips around with a girlfriend, but we don't know what her name was, and they used to skip together all the time. But when the day he lost her, he vowed that he will skip for the rest of his life, so that he won't forget the time they spent. So then Skips knows everything. He knows about what will happen, about all the stuff that Morgan and Reba are about to do, but sometimes Skips doesn't know what happens. Other stuff. Not to mention all the stuff that Mordecai and Reby sometimes do. But he always knows what's really happening and what he knows about. Next, the next two main characters I like to talk about, those two are funny guys that slack up too, but Benson had total confidence that they will confidence on them to come back to work. Their names are Muscle Man and High Five Ghost. Now, Muscle Man is a very strong Hulk-like guy, but he is human because his brother is human for some reason. And he slacks off as well, but not most of the time because he works a lot with his buddy Muscle, along with his buddy High Five Ghost. Now, most of the time, whenever some people make a mistake, or Muscle Man always makes a joke about his own mother. He's like this, for example. Do you know who else likes to get tutored? My mom! Man, Muscle Man always makes fun of his mom, but he always tells your mama jokes, but not to their mom because maybe he doesn't want to ruin someone's feelings, but to insult his own mother. But although we never saw the real mother, although we thought we saw the real mother in the episode called My Mom, but turns out it was just a picture of her butt cheeks. But still, Muscle Man is a cool guy, but he does the work well. He helps Mordecai and Rigby, although Mordecai and Rigby dislikes Muscle Man for all the trouble they cause and the pranking. He's the greatest prank master. Muscle Man is the greatest prank master. And finally, his best friend, High Five Ghost. who was also voiced by J.G. Cutton, who is also the voice of Mordecai, the creator. Now, Hi-Fi Ghost doesn't usually appear that much or doesn't talk that much. But Hi-Fi Ghost always does the work with... He sometimes spins around with Muscle Man, but sometimes with Mordecai and Rigby. Although Mordecai and Rigby are trying to help Muscle Man, and Hi-Fi Ghost gives them some advice about what happened, although once. And the episode called Muscle Woman, it was revealed that Muscle Man had a girlfriend by the name of Starla, although she dumped him because he doesn't tell about his feelings. But then later in that episode, it was revealed that Muscle Man was showed his real name, which his real name is called Mitch Sorenstein, which is kind of like a Frankenstein name because Sorenstein, Frankenstein, it rhymes. It's so weird. The next two characters I like to talk about are two women that work at a coffee shop. Their names are Margaret and Eileen. Now Margaret is a waitress who works at a coffee shop and always sees Mordecai and Rigby getting coffee and always gives them every day. And Margaret maybe didn't know that Mordecai has a crush on her. But maybe she does or maybe not. But she always had random boyfriends who are human, and Mordecai always gets jealous of them. And Margaret was almost had a date with Rigby, to watch zombie dinner party. But then Mordecai gets jealous and tries to kill Rigby. But I'm not talking about that. Her other friend, next, another character named Eileen. Eileen is also a waitress that works at the coffee shop too, along with Margaret. But she has a love interest to Rigby. But Rigby never has an interest to Eileen. But in a later episode, he's starting to get interested on her. He was in the episode called Diary. It was revealed that Rigby liked Eileen without her glasses on. It was kind of funny because I knew Rigby loved Eileen. Although most of the time when Mordecai tells him you like her, and in the episode he said, "Stop talking!" Okay, and that's all I can say about these characters. And one more thing about them is Mordecai and Rigby has they have very fancy catchphrases that will long live forever, which is known as "Oh!" And that's all I can say about a regular show. I hope you enjoyed this review and leave some good comments or opinion about what you think about my review. Now, this is alaco1997 signing out.